Mark.
And background!
It took this long to become a movie because the motion picture business is largely dysfunctional. There are a hell of a lot of movie options. There are very few high quality, finished and released motion pictures. I just got lucky. Rudy Cohen is a hero of this motion picture. He's godfathered this film project from the very beginning.
What really attracted me was the characters of those, the fictional characters, and what got them attracted actually to the Black Dahlia. And actually, I think that's what the movie is about. But it's what James Ellroy did with the material. He took up a piece of reality and added to it the fiction, the dreams, and the obsession of those two policemen.
We're supposed to be looking for Nash.
Priority. Yeah, priority for Homicide Division, not us.
He supervised the script process, and after some false starts with adapting the book, they found the esteemed screenwriter, Josh Friedman, who went back to the book, extracted its essence, eliminated the backstory that wields such power at the beginning of the book, streamlined it to where you know the main characters before the discovery of Elizabeth Short's body.
Us.
I've been working on this project longer than I've known my wife, or I have my child. I mean, I started in '97. I think I would write in the script for about 8 years before it was made. Producers called me in, and they said, "Do you want to read this?" I knew who James Ellroy was. I knew the material, but I'd never read it. And they said, they're going to do this. And I read it over a weekend. I didn't know that I was particularly qualified one way or the other, and I don't like scary material. But this was just so, the book was so compelling, and Ellroy's writing is so great. And I tend to try not to think of the book as a genre book. And again, think of it simply as a historical fiction. I think that part of adapting it was in some ways stripping out some of the language that felt more noir or more genre and try to keep it period.
When we finished the draft that we felt is the draft that we're going to shoot, we gave it to James Ellroy, and we arranged a meeting. We wanted to know what he feels about the script. We knew he might be unhappy because a lot of the things that are in the book we cut out. But he was very complimentary. He liked a lot what Josh Friedman did with the script.
He understood that more than a film noir, more than a thriller, this is a historical romance and a story of deep and troubled friendships in Los Angeles during the post-war years.
And when Brian De Palma came on, it was like a locomotive. We made some significant changes to the script, and then we were off.
I can go down and do this, and we can play it. Fine. It's like, this is great.
Brian was, I think, that was a perfect choice for this, for directing this movie. The story is so complex. The only way you can actually move some of the stories are actually by visuals, by strong visuals, that you don't have to tell so much, because the story is long. It's very big. It's an epic.
The book is, very long, and now we have to somehow compress this into a, 2-hour format. But I very much kept to the structure and very much kept to the attitude about his characters that are engendered in the book.
My girl's got a taste for nice things, and I can't afford to let her down. Right, babe?
Keep talking about me in third person, it sends me.
You're dealing with all that great stylized language. And even there's a tremendous amount of voiceover. It's hardly expository.
Junior Nash was an inbred Okie shit kicker who came west and took all us locals for easy marks just because we prefer our cowboys to look like Gene Autry.
It's more metaphoric, and it's all in that Ellroy language, which is what you always like to use voiceover for, when you have a very distinctive narration.
The basic rule of homicide applied. Nothing stays buried forever.
Both Josh Hartnett as Bucky Bleichert and Aaron Eckhart as Lee Blanchard actually, fortuitously, serendipitously, luckily, physically resemble the men in the book. They are opposites physically. There is a density to their interplay. Hartnett is remote, and what Hartnett does in this film that is very, very impressive at first glance is he explicates Bucky Bleichert's continuing thought processes.
I'm withholding evidence for you. It's a fair trade, but it shakes me.
Josh had been with the movie way long before I came on it. And one of the producers brought it to me. He said, well, we were thinking of using Josh. Would you like to meet him? And I meet him, and I liked him immediately. And he has such a kind of, even in this corrupt world, there's a sense of decency about him. Even as he's descending and compromising and lying and selling out. I mean, he still has a certain, like in old noir movies, all the parts that Humphrey Bogart played, even though he's dirty dealing with a bunch of very disreputable characters, he carries some kind of moral weight, and there are some things he will not do. And Josh just embodied that.
Bobby did do the bake job, Dwight. Don't get the wrong idea.
I don't know what kind of idea I got right now.
What I like about it so much is that I don't think it is a morality tale at all. I think that the characters have their certain flaws that they'll follow to the end, and they have their certain strengths, and nobody really deviates from them. The characters are set from the beginning. Bucky doesn't change his mind and decide that extorting money is going to be a good thing for him in his life. It's not the way that he does things, but he will throw a fight. He's kind of enamored with the idea of money, but never obsessed with money. He's more obsessed with a sort of justice that he believes is everybody getting what's coming to him.
Bucky particularly, Brian said, shouldn't need more than 3 outfits. So that was absolutely, and in those days people didn't have that much, so that was a perfect direction. And Josh was great because he really reacted well to what I brought and then suggested the darker shirts. And in fact, he's got 4 different shirts, 2 different pairs of trousers, and about 3 to 4 jackets, and we just play them around. So when you want to push him into smarter, you go paler shirt, and when you want to put him more at home or mysterious, you go darker, and that's all we did.
We did a lot of boxing. I did 7 months training for 4 hours a day, so I got my ass handed to me a lot of times by a lot of different sparring partners.
Doing boxing in a movie, you always want to make it as real as possible. And so we worked hard to choreograph our fights and to give the punches reality. We hit each other many times, for real.
Aaron is an actor I've always liked from the early films that he did. And he's got to have that kind of edge. He's kind of like a young Kirk Douglas. There's something a little manic and a little larger than life about him. A very good contrast to Josh.
I read the script and then the book and had a chance to meet James Ellroy, and it's such a wonderful book. So it means a lot to me to be in the film. I think he really captures the angst of the policemen, and although they're the good guys, they also are in a lot of ways psychologically the bad guys. Blanchard, homicide. You're playing 1947, and it's fun because their cadence was faster, their rhythms were faster than they are today. They had, if you go back and watch films, if you watch Cagney, or if you watch, Edward G. Robinson or any of these kind of crime movies, they've got this way of speaking, and it was fun to try to, not, mirror it exactly, but to give that flavor.
Thanks, white girl gets snuffed. Got to show the voters they did the right thing passing the bond issue with A+, Buck. We don't miss this.
Lee's the smart suit guy, and Aaron does look devastatingly good in a suit. The navy suit's original suit, the grey suit we made, I happily found a piece of fabric that is from the period. So he just has 2 suits. You see him with and without jackets.
Slow and easy, Buck. I gave Lou a memo saying Nash blew our jurisdiction.
Fedoras, suits, suspenders, gun holsters, cigarettes played a big part. I mean, 1947, they smoked like chimneys, so that's what we did. All those things help an actor to really embody the character. And then when you see, you go to set and everybody else is dressed that way, and the squad room is old phones and, you know, old sorting equipment, old desks, old chairs and stuff like that. You just fall into that character. Bucky.
Lee.
I'd like you to meet Kay Lake.
Hello.
Hello.
Scarlett I met years ago when she was in Horse Whisperers, and I just met her at a party and just started talking to her. And that sort of stayed with me. It made a very strong impression on me. And when we were talking about casting, I said, you know, what about Scarlett? And everybody said, that's a great idea. So I called her up, Scarlett, and we went out to lunch, and you know, it's like we had just, you know, continued that conversation we had many years ago.
Brian is, you know, an auteur. He's got his style. I mean, you see a film and you are able to say, hey, that's like a Brian De Palma film, you know what I mean? And I was just very excited about the prospects of this picture. And then what attracted me to Kay is her will to survive. I mean, she is a girl who probably came to California hoping to be an actor or something like that, and ended up getting in this horrible crowd, you know, where she was prostituting herself and has this very dark past. But she has survived out of it. I mean, she has that whole knight in shining armor story with Lee. He's come and he's saved her, and they are living this, you know, what appears to be a happy life together.
How was your first day?
Mostly back slaps and paperwork, if I know those boys.
Scarlett has an open quality about her, I think, on screen. Everything she feels sort of comes right out through her face. There's not a lot hidden, you know? And Kay is the most open of the bunch. She has a troubled past, but she really, you know, she wants kind of a good, solid life.
Johansson, who as I understand it is quite a young woman, younger than the actual character that she portrays, exudes a certain maturity and the surety that she is smarter than these two men who are so driven by her, and that in some ways she owns them. Of course, her ownership of the souls of these men is challenged by the entire specter of the Black Dahlia.
She wasn't the first Dahlia wannabe I'd seen, but she was the best.
I got Hilary involved basically because I know Hilary, and I always wanted her to play a kind of femme fatale.
So, what do I have to do to keep my name out of the papers?
When I met with Brian De Palma and he said, you know, I'd love for you to play this role, and what do you think of this role? And I read the script, obviously. I dove right into the book because it was obviously an important part of figuring the character out and the story on a deeper, richer level than you can ever get into 2 hours of a film.
You know, she's a great actress and she's never really played sexy characters. So I said, come on, Hilary, let's do this. And she got all excited about it. Hilary's like a classic Spider Woman. She's completely crazy, but in the most seductive way imaginable. She can be extremely vulnerable and then extremely evil at, you know, in a sort of a flip of a switch. And she says these lines like, I always wanted to sleep with someone that looked like me. I mean, it's like, she does it with such conviction, you sort of say, okay, that makes sense. And so, but of course it makes no sense whatsoever.
I just did it to see what it would be like to do it with someone who looked like me.
Jesus Christ.
And she was able to bring this kind of completely psychotic woman to life.
My character of Madeline was so unique to anything that I've ever done. She, you know, comes from a high-class, affluent background. She never has to work hard. She kind of slums and kind of does what she wants, is spoiled, daddy's little girl. But behind all of that, I think she's a very, very troubled person who's actually searching for love.
Hilary comes across as just an impeccable person in all of her films, like someone who just wants so badly for everything to turn out right. And then to see her in this role, you really see a different side, and I think that she pulls it off amazingly.
I think you'd rather fuck me than kill me.
The only costumes we really made were Hilary, complete, and Scarlett, that's Madeline and Kay. You know, I could find some marvelous bits, but nothing was quite right. That was to just really push it into getting it perfect, hopefully.
I'm told that I'm very photogenic.
We had to create a living image of the Black Dahlia because all the images of her were basically dead or on an autopsy table. So Mia came in very early to read for the role, and I said, Mia, I got to have you in this movie. We're going to build up this character of the Black Dahlia, and I want you to play the Black Dahlia. And we sent her the material, and she said she'd do it. And she's really quite stunning.
I was sent that book over 10 years ago, and somebody said, you sort of look like her, and somebody might make this into a movie, and you should look into playing it. And it's so gruesome, but there was something really fascinating about her, and to this day I can't tell you exactly why. But I read everything I could get my hands on about her life, so everything that I do in the film is based on some kind of, I hope, some kind of truth. I mean, I know that what I said is not what she said, but I really tried to find the essence of her because she was portrayed as a very hard, vicious, unapproachable woman, and I didn't see that when I read all these things about her. I saw a very soft, romantic, intelligent woman. I didn't want to concentrate on the gruesome death, what was done to her. I wanted to focus on her from the beginning and who she was when she arrived in this town and what she was dreaming about. I didn't want the way she died to sort of taint the performance. And also, I felt as an actor, you know, she's had so many terrible things written about her. At the end of the day, I felt a very, very strong responsibility to show her in the best light I could and give her some form of dignity.
So where are you from?
Boston.
How long have you lived here?
2 years.
Lost your accent?
Yeah. Well, you know, when in Rome.
The first draft I ever wrote of this, I didn't have the screen tests in it. I mean, it was a long time ago. I gave it to a friend, and a friend said, this is really good, but I'm missing her. And, you know, in the book, you got a little more sense of her. You know, you read little letters. There was more sort of testimony about her. And my friend said, you know, you're missing her. And I said, you're right, I am. I'm going to have to go figure something out. And so I came up with the idea of the screen tests and using them as a way to sort of show her descent.
Each screen test serves a different purpose to show how she ages and her own evolution. So in the first one, you know, she's very sweet and very innocent, and she's very impressionable and really wants to please, doesn't really know what's going on. And then you see how she becomes a little more cunning and a little more manipulative. And then finally you see that she begins to realize that she should start selling her sex. And I don't mean having sex for money, but selling sex in auditions.
You got tears running down your face. What's the matter with you?
Just a bad day.
As I was receiving the rushes of the screen tests, I could hear that Brian's voice is in the background as the director of the screen tests.
Say you care, say
It's
that
short. There is a pause after care. Are you familiar with the English language?
And ordinarily I would have expected him to perhaps revoice that character later, but he said it was okay to just keep his voice in there, and I think it works very well because he was there with the character in the moment, and the drama really plays very well between the two of them.
You know, this is a very sad scene. Do you think you're capable of playing sadness?
What you saw there, very much of it was ad-libbed. So a little bit of that was serendipitous as far as it working in the movie. Then as we saw it, we went, wow, you know, this really makes Elizabeth Short a real human person. Now it's really horrible. Killing this one is horrible. And it brought a lot of humanity to it.
Brian loves the story first, obviously. He also loves the technical aspects of filmmaking, but he really made sure that we were getting what we needed as actors, and he knows that an actor needs reality in order to act real most of the time. I mean, it just makes your job easier, and he provides that reality, which is very refreshing for an actor. He stays close to his actors, which I liked very much. He talks to them, he jokes around with them, but he's very demanding as well. You felt like you had to show up and do a good job. And if you didn't, you know, I think that you would have let everybody down.
Well, working with great actors is they always surprise you. and you never know exactly what they're going to do. A great actor will always, they'll do what you want them to do, and they'll do how you direct them, and then you just sort of let them do it, and they'll do something that'll completely surprise you. And these actors, are quite unique. They're all so mysterious.
Got it?
Got that.
That was a good one, guys.
Very good, guys.
No worries.
That's my best one.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, onward.